There's a unique kind of struggle that doesn't get talked about enough in faith circles. It's not the struggle of facing a crisis. It's not the pain of loss or the weight of tragedy. It's something quieter, something more subtle, but just as challenging. It's the struggle of waiting when nothing seems to be happening. You've prayed, you've believed, you've stood on God's promises, you've done everything you know to do. And yet, day after day, week after week, month after month, nothing changes. The doors don't open, the breakthrough doesn't come, the healing doesn't manifest, the relationship doesn't improve, the finances don't shift, the calling doesn't activate. And in that space of apparent nothingness, something dangerous begins to creep in. Doubt whispers. Discouragement settles in like fog. The fire that once burned bright in your spirit starts to flicker. You wonder if you heard God correctly. You question if you're doing something wrong. You look at others who seem to be experiencing breakthrough after breakthrough, and you wonder why your season feels so stagnant, so still, so silent. If that's where you find yourself today, I want you to know something. God has not forgotten you. Your season of waiting is not a season of waste. And even more importantly, in this very moment, God is giving you exactly what you need to keep moving forward. He's giving you faith, and He's giving you courage. Not the kind of faith that comes from seeing results, not the kind of courage that comes from feeling confident, but something deeper, something more powerful, something that can only be forged in the fire of waiting. Let's talk about how God does this. Let's talk about how He sustains you when nothing seems to be happening. Let's talk about how He builds in you an unshakable foundation that will carry you not just through this season, but through every season to come. The gift of faith in the waiting. First, let's understand something crucial about faith. In Hebrews 11:1, we read that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Did you catch that? Faith is the substance. It's not just a feeling. It's not just positive thinking. It's not just wishful hoping. Faith is the actual substance of what you're waiting for. When nothing appears to be happening in the natural realm, something very real is happening in the spiritual realm. God is building, He's forming, He's creating. And the faith He's giving you is the substance, the building material of what He's preparing to bring into your life. Think about it like this. When a construction crew is building a skyscraper, there's a long period where to the outside observer, nothing seems to be happening. They've cleared the ground, they've put up barriers, and then for months they're digging. They're going down before they can go up. They're laying foundation. They're reinforcing the underground structure that no one will ever see. To someone walking by, it looks like nothing is happening. It looks like a waste of time. Why aren't they building up? Why aren't they making progress? But the construction crew knows something the casual observer doesn't. They know that the deeper they build the foundation, the higher they can build the structure. They know that what they're doing underground will determine what's possible above ground. This is what God is doing in your life right now. When you can't see progress, when nothing appears to be changing, when breakthrough seems distant, God is going deep. He's building a foundation of faith in you that can support the weight of what He's about to do in your life. And here's the beautiful part. God Himself is the source of this faith. You don't have to manufacture it. You don't have to work it up. You don't have to pretend to have something you don't feel. Romans 12:3 tells us that God has given to each person a measure of faith. It's a gift. It's already in you. But like any gift, it needs to be activated, developed, and exercised. And the way faith grows is not through seeing results. Faith grows through the decision to believe even when you don't see. Faith grows through choosing to trust even when circumstances scream that trust is foolish. Faith grows through standing firm even when everything in you wants to give up. Every day that you wake up in your season of nothing happening and choose to believe anyway, your faith is growing. Every moment that you declare God's promises over your life, even though you see no evidence of their fulfillment, your faith is deepening. Every time you worship in the waiting, every time you pray when it feels like your prayers hit the ceiling, every time you speak life when death surrounds you, your faith is being established on a level that results-based faith could never reach. God is giving you faith right now. Not the faith that comes from seeing breakthrough, but the faith that brings breakthrough. The faith that moves mountains isn't built on the mountain. It's built in the valley. It's built in the waiting. It's built in the seasons when nothing is happening. And this faith, This deep, unshakable, proven faith is what will sustain you not just now, but for the rest of your life. When the breakthrough finally comes, and it will come, you won't just celebrate the result. You'll celebrate the person you became while waiting for it. You'll celebrate the depth of faith that was forged in the fire of patience. The courage to keep going, but faith alone isn't enough to move forward. You also need courage. And God is giving you that too. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is not feeling confident and assured. Courage is the decision to move forward despite the fear, despite the doubt, despite the discouragement. Joshua 1:9 says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Notice that God doesn't tell Joshua to feel strong. He doesn't tell him to feel courageous. He commands him to be strong and courageous, which means it's a choice, not a feeling. Right now, in your season of waiting, when nothing seems to be happening, God is commanding you the same thing. Be strong, be courageous. Not because you feel like it, not because circumstances support it, but because He is with you. The courage God gives you in the waiting is different from the courage the world offers. The world's courage is based on confidence in yourself, in your abilities, in your resources. But that kind of courage crumbles when you run out of strength, when your abilities fall short, when your resources are depleted. The courage God gives is based on His faithfulness, His power, His resources. It's a courage that says, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I know who holds my future, and that's enough. It's a courage that says, I can't see the path forward, but I know He's lighting the next step, and I'll take it. It's a courage that says, this doesn't make sense to my natural mind, but I trust His supernatural plan. Think about David facing Goliath. Everyone else saw an impossible situation, a boy with a slingshot against a giant warrior. The courage David had didn't come from his own strength. He wasn't bigger, stronger, or more skilled than Goliath. His courage came from his history with God. He remembered the lion, he remembered the bear, he remembered how God had delivered him before, and he knew God would deliver him again. Your season of waiting, your season when nothing seems to be happening, is building that same kind of history with God. Every day you survive this season, every day you choose to keep believing, every day you take another step forward, even though you can't see where you're going, you're creating a testimony. You're building a history of God's faithfulness. And when the next giant shows up in your life, and it will, you'll be able to face it with a courage that's been tested and proven. You'll be able to say, I know God is faithful because I've seen Him sustain me when nothing was happening. I know He provides because He provided for me in the dry season. I know He's powerful because He kept me standing when I had every reason to fall. The courage God is giving you right now is the courage to keep showing up, to keep believing, to keep moving forward even when movement feels meaningless, to keep investing in what He's called you to even when you see no return, to keep loving when love hasn't been reciprocated, to keep giving when you haven't received, to keep serving when you haven't been recognized. This is the courage that changes everything. This is the courage that separates those who eventually experience breakthrough from those who give up right before it happens. This is the courage that qualifies you for greater assignments, bigger blessings, deeper levels of impact. God is giving you courage today. Receive it. Step into it. Let it rise up in your spirit. Let it quiet the voices of fear and doubt. Let it strengthen your resolve to keep going, to keep believing, to keep moving forward. Why nothing seems to be happening. Let me address something that might be troubling your heart. You might be wondering why, if God is so good and so faithful, nothing seems to be happening. Why is He allowing this season of stagnation? Why isn't He moving faster? Why isn't He answering your prayers the way you've asked? There are several reasons why God sometimes allows seasons where nothing appears to be happening, and understanding these reasons can actually increase your faith and courage. First, God is often doing something in you before He does something through you. The greatest work God does is not changing your circumstances, it's changing you. Before He can trust you with certain blessings, He has to develop certain character qualities in you. Before He can elevate you to new levels of influence, He has to establish new levels of maturity in you. Think about it. If God gave you everything you asked for the moment you asked for it, how would you develop patience? How would you learn to trust? How would you build resilience? How would you become the kind of person who can steward breakthrough without it breaking you? The Israelites wanted to go straight to the promised land, but God knew they needed 40 years in the wilderness first. Not because he was punishing them, but because he was preparing them. The wilderness was where they learned to depend on him daily for provision. The wilderness was where they learned his character. The wilderness was where they were transformed from slaves to free people, from victims to victors. Your season of nothing happening might be your wilderness, but it's not a punishment, it's a preparation. God is doing deep work in you that you can't see, but you'll be grateful for later. Second, God's timing is perfect, and his timing is not our timing. Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than my ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." We see time linearly. We want breakthrough now. But God sees time from an eternal perspective. He sees not just what you need now, but what you'll need 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. He sees how all the pieces of your life fit together. He sees connections and purposes that you can't possibly see from your limited vantage point. What feels like delay to you is actually divine timing. God is aligning things behind the scenes. He's moving people into position. He's preparing opportunities. He's orchestrating circumstances that will result in something far better than what you originally asked for. Joseph spent 13 years in slavery and prison before he stepped into his purpose as second in command of Egypt. During those 13 years, it seemed like nothing was happening. It seemed like God had forgotten his promise. But God was working. He was positioning Joseph. He was developing Joseph. He was setting up a scenario where Joseph would be in exactly the right place at exactly the right time to save his entire family and preserve the line through which the Messiah would come. Your waiting isn't wasted. Your season of nothing happening is actually full of divine activity that you can't see yet. Third, God sometimes allows delay to test and strengthen your faith. James 1:2-4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. The testing of your faith in the waiting produces perseverance. And perseverance, when it's finished its work, makes you mature and complete. The end result is that you lack nothing, not because God finally gave you what you were waiting for, but because the process made you into someone who doesn't need external circumstances to be okay. The person you're becoming in the waiting is more valuable than the thing you're waiting for. The faith you're developing is more precious than the breakthrough. The character being formed in you is more lasting than the circumstantial change. God is not withholding from you. He's not being cruel. He's not ignoring you. He's growing you. He's maturing you. He's preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Practical steps for moving forward. So, how do you actually move forward when nothing is happening? How do you activate the faith and courage God is giving you? Let me give you some practical steps. First, change your definition of progress. Progress is not always visible. Progress is not always measurable. The most significant progress often happens in your heart, your mind, your character, your faith. Every day that you choose to trust God, that's progress. Every day that you worship in the wait, that's progress. Every day that you show up and do what you know to do, even though you don't see results, that's progress. Stop measuring progress only by external circumstances. Start measuring it by internal transformation. Ask yourself, am I more patient than I was last month? Am I more trusting? Am I more rooted in God's word? Am I more dependent on his presence? Am I more compassionate? Am I more humble? If the answer to any of these is yes, you're making progress. Second, stay connected to God's voice. In seasons when nothing is happening, it's easy to distance yourself from God. Your prayers feel empty, so you pray less. Your Bible reading feels dry, so you do it less consistently. Your worship feels flat, so you engage less frequently. But this is exactly the opposite of what you need to do. This is when you need to press in more, not pull back. This is when you need to be in God's presence more, not less. This is when you need to fill your mind with his word more, not less. Your feelings are lying to you. Just because you don't feel close to God doesn't mean you're not close to God. Just because you don't feel His presence doesn't mean He's not present. He promised in Hebrews 13:5, "Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you." That's not based on your feelings, that's based on His character. Stay in the Word, stay in prayer, stay in worship, even when it feels mechanical, even when it feels pointless, because something is happening in the spiritual realm that you can't see in the natural. Your consistency in seeking God is building something that will sustain you not just now, but forever. Third, keep taking action steps. Faith without works is dead. You can't just sit back and wait for God to do everything. You have to move forward in the direction He's called you, even when you don't see results. If God called you to start a business, keep working on it even if customers aren't coming yet. If God called you to write, keep writing even if no one's reading yet. If God called you to pursue a relationship, keep being the person God's called you to be, even if the relationship hasn't manifested yet. If God called you to get healthy, keep making healthy choices, even if the scale isn't moving yet. Your obedience is not contingent on seeing results. Your obedience is contingent on hearing and responding to what God has told you to do. Do what you know to do. Take the next step. Leave the results to God. Fourth, surround yourself with faith-filled people. This is crucial. In seasons when nothing is happening, you need people who will speak life, who will remind you of God's promises, who will stand in faith with you. You cannot afford to be around negative, doubting, discouraging people right now. Find a church community. Find a small group. Find even one friend who believes God with you. Let them carry you when your faith feels weak. Let them remind you of who God is when you forget. Let them speak truth when lies are screaming in your head. Isolation is dangerous in the waiting season. The enemy wants you alone because alone you're vulnerable to his lies. But in community, in connection, in relationship with other believers, you're strong. You're protected. You're reminded that you're not the only one who's ever walked through a season like this. Fifth, practice gratitude. This might seem impossible when nothing is happening. What is there to be grateful for? But gratitude is not just about circumstances. Gratitude is about recognizing God's character, His presence, His past faithfulness. You can be grateful that God is with you even in the waiting. You can be grateful for the breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the food on your table. You can be grateful for past breakthroughs, past deliverances, past victories. You can be grateful that you're still standing, still believing, still trusting. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It takes your eyes off what's not happening and puts them on what God has already done. And when you focus on what God has already done, faith rises that He'll do it again. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Not give thanks for all circumstances, but give thanks in all circumstances, even in the hard ones, even in the waiting ones, even in the nothing is happening ones. Start each day with gratitude. End each day with gratitude. Fill the waiting with thanksgiving and watch how it changes you from the inside out. The breakthrough is coming. I want to speak something over your life right now. I want you to hear this with your spirit, not just your ears. The breakthrough is coming. Not because you've earned it, not because you've been perfect, not because you've done everything right, but because God is faithful, because He keeps His promises, because what He starts, He finishes. Philippians 1:6 says, "Being confident of this, that He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." If God started something in your life, He's going to complete it. The work He began doesn't stop just because you can't see progress. It doesn't stop just because it's taking longer than you expected. It doesn't stop just because you're tired of waiting. God is not like us. He doesn't give up. He doesn't get distracted. He doesn't change His mind because things got hard. What He promised you, He will perform. What He spoke over you, He will bring to pass. What He called you to, He will equip you for. Your job is not to make it happen. Your job is to keep believing, keep moving, keep trusting. God's job is to make it happen, and He's way better at His job than you could ever be at trying to do it yourself. The breakthrough is coming, and when it does, you'll look back on this season of waiting and you'll understand. You'll see why it took so long. You'll see what God was doing behind the scenes. You'll see how He was preparing you, protecting you, positioning you. You'll see that his timing was perfect, even when it didn't feel like it. And you'll be grateful, not just for the breakthrough, but for the waiting, because the waiting made you who you are. The waiting gave you a testimony. The waiting deepened your relationship with God in a way that easy, quick answers never could have. Closing words. I want you to do something for me. I want you to make a decision right now, not a feeling-based decision, a faith-based decision, a decision that you're going to keep moving forward even when nothing seems to be happening. Decide that you're going to keep believing even when you don't see evidence. Decide that you're going to keep trusting even when circumstances suggest trust is foolish. Decide that you're going to keep worshipping even when you don't feel like it. Decide that you're going to keep serving even when you don't see results. Decide that you're going to keep loving even when love is hard. Decide that you're going to keep giving even when you're running on empty. Decide that this season, this difficult, frustrating, confusing season of waiting, will not defeat you. It will develop you. It will not destroy your faith. It will deepen it. It will not steal your joy. It will strengthen your resolve. Decide that you're going to partner with what God is doing in you, even when you can't see what He's doing around you. Decide that you're going to receive the faith He's giving you. Decide that you're going to step into the courage He's providing. God has not brought you this far to leave you. He has not sustained you through everything you've been through only to abandon you now. He is with you in the waiting. He is working in the waiting. He is building in the waiting. And He is about to bring breakthrough in the waiting. So lift your head, straighten your shoulders, take a deep breath, and take the next step of faith, the next step of obedience, the next step of trust. Even when you can't see where it's leading, take it, because God is leading you, and where He leads, He provides. Where He guides, He provides. Where He calls, He equips. You are not alone in this season. You are not forgotten. You are not stuck. You are in process. You are in preparation. You are in position for what's coming next. And what's coming next is going to be so good, so beyond what you could ask or imagine, that you'll look back on this season and say, it was worth it. Every moment of waiting was worth it. Keep moving forward. Keep believing. Keep trusting. God is giving you the faith and courage you need for this very moment. Receive it. Step into it. Let it propel you forward into everything He has for you. The breakthrough is coming, but more importantly, the person of peace is with you right now, in the waiting, in the nothing is happening, in the holding pattern. And He is enough. He has always been enough. He will always be enough. Move forward in faith. Move forward in courage. Move forward knowing that nothing is happening on the surface, but everything is happening underneath. God is building a foundation in you that cannot be shaken. And when the breakthrough comes, and it will come, you'll be ready. You'll be prepared. You'll be exactly who you need to be to steward it well. This season is not forever, but the person you're becoming in this season will carry you through every season to come. Trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust the God who holds it all. You're going to make it through, and you're going to be stronger, deeper, more rooted, more grounded, more established, and more anointed because of it. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. God is with you, and He's giving you everything you need for this moment and every moment to come.